Welcome back. I'm Vijaya, understanding immigration law and what it means for you with lawyers from the NPZ Law Group, your friend and guide to all things US and Canadian immigration. And David Nachman joins me now. He's founder and managing attorney at NPZ Law. Welcome, David. Namaste.
Namaste, Adab, Sat Sri Akal, and Kemcho to you, Vijaya, and to all our Radio Mirchi listeners.
Thank you so much, David. And I have a question for you from a listener, and they ask, my friend and his spouse are from India, but they now live in Canada. He recently got an E-2 visa. What is the E-2 visa and how does it work?
Yeah, this is a very frequent question that we get, Vijay, and actually especially now. But this feeds into the very special strategic planning that the NPZ Law Group can do for individuals who are seeking to come to the United States, but not necessarily doing it directly. And I'm glad sort of that I am following Gagan Mundra, our Canadian immigration lawyer,
Yes.
who oftentimes works with me on these types of plans, because the E-2 is not really a thing for our Indian clients, but it's a thing for Indian clients who have immigrated to other countries like Canada, New Zealand, or Australia.
I see.
So what it does is that this visa type opens the door to new opportunities to come to the U.S. So what they do is they settle in, let's say, Canada, for example, and after they get a Canadian passport, then they are allowed to take advantage of a special treaty between the United States and Canada. It's called the USMCA. So how does that work? Well, what it does is the individual would set up an LLC. They would open a bank account for that LLC. They would maybe get some office space and signage, and then what they do is they make a deposit of monies. It's a non-immigrant investor visa. And usually the type of investment that they're looking for is about, the U.S. is looking for about $100,000 into this non-immigrant investor visa account. So it's the account actually for the LLC.
The LLC is based in the U.S.?
Yeah, it's based in the U.S.
Okay.
Basically, the person is opening the business, and they also should do a solid business plan. And then they submit that package to the U.S. consulate up in Canada. And the U.S. authorities in Canada will make an adjudication on the case. And if they approve the E-2, the individual can come to the United States and work for their company. So so it's really the closest thing to self-employment really that exists. It's really too bad. Just as an aside, we continue to be members of GOPIO, active members of the GOPIO organization, and GOPIO has lobbied very, very hard to try to get the E-2 for India so they can do that directly. But unfortunately, for various political reasons, which I still haven't been able to understand over the last 25 years. Unfortunately, that has not come to fruition. But the E-2 is an excellent opportunity. And by the way, it doesn't have to be $100,000. That's what the U.S. government would like to see. But it is really based, the amount that you invest in the business that you're going to go to work for is really based upon a substantiality and proportionality test. So it really depends upon what exactly the business is. So for example, a smaller investment might be permitted if the company is going to be like a consulting firm. Whereas if it's going to be a firm like a jewelry concern, or it's going to be a concern where you're going to be let's say importing grain or corn or something like that, where there's going to be inventory held by the company, then maybe a higher amount of investment may be required. So again, it's based upon whether it's a substantial amount of money sufficient enough to run the business properly.
I see.
And the derivatives, what's really nice is the spouse can work, so they are allowed to engage in free market employment in the U.S., so they can either work for the E-2 company or for another company.
Oh, okay.
The kids can go to school and the kids can stay in the U.S. And I think the downside that I hear from a lot of clients is, well, maybe I don't want to do the E-2 because I can't go to a green card. But that's not necessarily true. In fact, what we generally find is that there are creative ways to take individuals from E-2 to green cards. And so that's just a special analysis that we can do later on.
And how long is the E-2 valid for?
That's the thing. The E-2 can be valid forever. I mean, as long as the individual, so I have a client actually who's been on an E-2 visa for about 35 years. He continues to be on the E-2. And so the E-2 is a very powerful visa type. And oftentimes it's a good springboard to be looking at other types of visas. So for example, we have some clients who will use the E-2 as a springboard to the H-1B, or they'll use it as a springboard to some other visa status. So, but in and of itself, again, it's very powerful insofar as the individual can basically be in the United States and run their own business. And then I'm also just going to sort of mention as an aside that it is a non-immigrant visa classification. So we are able to work with our clients who are thinking about doing this to advise them on how they can continue to show this non-immigrant intent that's required for the E-2 classification. But it's out there. It's sort of one of those additional things in NPZ lawyers' bag of tricks, toolbox.
Toolkit.
Exactly, a bag of tricks. And we're happy to share it with
wow, thank you for that. That is
listeners.
Literally very illuminating to learn about the E-2 visa. And thank you for that, David. And of course, that's David Nachman, providing counsel to companies and individuals worldwide on complex US and Canadian immigration and nationality law issues as part of the NPZ Law Group. They're just a phone call away. Call them today and mention Mirchi for a special discount. The number is 201-670-0006, or simply visit visaserve.com. And of course, it's that time of the show that I extend a big thank you to all of the attorneys at NPZ Law, David Nachman, Lutka Zimovchek, Snehal Batra, Gaganjot Mundra, and Samantha Oberstein for shining that light bright on everything that matters. You can count on them as well, and of course, reach out to them today, keeping you updated and informed on the law. I'm Vijaya. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day, and do join us every other Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. for more on immigration with the NPZ Law Group. For now, keep listening to Mirchi. It's hot.